What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
It's Thursday, and as such, you should be telling your neighbors and friends to go ahead and get on and get ready to watch Overcoming. Man, I'm reading the name of my book, Overcoming the Man Laws.
Inside the
Maybe
relationship.
we need to show that. So let me show it. Since I said it, let's go ahead and show it. Overcoming the Man Laws. There we go. Hold on. What happened? There we go. All right. Here we go. It's Thursday. Listen, we need you to share this. It's time for Inside the Relationship. We have a lot to talk about. And so, without further ado, we're going to get started. So, you get ready for this episode of
Inside the relationship.
Let's Do It.
Let's go.
You're watching Inside the Relationship with Denise and Ollie.
So, sit back, relax, and let's talk about all things relationships. What's happening? What's happening, everybody?
Happy Thursday.
Happy
It is Thursday.
It is Thursday. Yeah, we've been kind of confused this week about what day it is.
Can I just tell y'all? I thought that yesterday was Thursday from the moment I opened my eyes until around 6:30 p.m. Literally all day, I thought it was Thursday yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the kind of week.
So what's crazy is I was like that last week. Last week I was like, man, I thought it was one day the entire day. Matter of fact, so much so, was it last week or the week before? So much so that I missed an appointment
Yeah.
because I thought it was a different day than what it was. So I was like, man, that's crazy. So
And even after realizing now that yesterday wasn't Thursday, today is Thursday, all day today still, I'm thinking it's Friday.
Mm.
So wake me up tomorrow because I have to work tomorrow.
Right. It's Friday.
Wake me up.
It'll be
early.
Friday tomorrow. Listen, so listen, sometimes we have weeks like that. Listen, this is what this life is like that. And here we are though. But we're glad to be here. It is Thursday. Listen, do us a favor. And we're going to ask you, don't get tired of hearing this. We're going to ask you every time you see our face on this camera, we're going to ask you the same thing. Please do us a favor and simply hit the share button. That's it. Yeah. Hit the share button, share it to a group that you're in, share it to your timeline.
Like what I'm trying to do right now.
Text it to somebody. Just share this with somebody. That's our only ask, right? We may have other asks in the future, but today this is the one, right? So listen, we got a lot to talk about today. If you saw the graphic, the title on the graphic says this one thing could change your marriage. We're going to talk about that later on in this episode. But we're going to get into the media mix down to start us off. Again, share this, jump in the comments. If you're watching now, or if you're watching in the replay, jump in the comments, shout yourself out. Just say, hey, we're here. All right. Let us know you're here. All right. Now, let's get into this media mixdown because this is interesting. The media mixdown kind of speaks to some of what people are experiencing in the dating world these days. Right. So let's get into that. Let's talk about that. So in the media mixdown, I don't know if you remember, and this is not what the media mixdown is, but it's in relation to this. It's in the same vein. Do you remember there was a clip that was going around about this girl that was saying that you can't take me to the Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah, I remember that.
Like that's a no-go,
yep.
Right? So I was watching a clip, and I don't have a whole lot of context because I was watching a reaction to a clip. Okay. In this reaction video, this girl was saying that she is so tired of women. She's tired of women because the attitude that women have these days, the preferences that are just outlandish that women have these days are giving women a bad name. Right. So she goes on to talk about why she feels like this. She feels like this because she was watching a video of a girl who, and I'm saying girl for a reason, a girl who says that if somebody pays for their date with a Cash App card,
Mm-hmm.
that will be the last date that she goes on with this brother.
Why?
Exactly.
Because it's not a credit card.
Because Cash App, that's not considered real money.
It ain't. You could spend it, can't you?
Listen, I don't even have much to say about this. Listen, you got to go back and watch last week's episode. And I said some things in last week's episode during the media mixdown, and my wife didn't really like how I said it. So I don't have much to say today.
Because you feel the same.
I feel the same way. I don't have much to say about this media mixdown. You're going to tell me that if I pay,
right?
So she's not saying if you show up to the date and you don't have no money,
can't afford to pay for it, right?
If you show up and you pay with a Cash App card, essentially this dude is a clown, a joker, if he's paying with a Cash App card. So that ain't the man for her.
Like, that just explains, or that's just so sad. Like the mindset of some people in today's generation, today's culture. Like, doesn't that still pay for the meal?
Listen, money is money. Will I be somewhat embarrassed if you pulled out a bag of coins? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But money is money, though.
Money is money.
At the end of the day,
pays for whatever it is you're trying to purchase.
At the end of the day, money is money.
That's very disappointing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
A Cash App card, right?
Yeah, a Cash App card. If you can pay for it, you pay for it.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
Yeah, I don't understand that one.
Yeah, that is, there's, again, I'm not saying much about this one today, because if I say what I'm really thinking, this one gonna be looking at me like how she was looking at me last week, and I don't want that. So listen, let me just say this. I'm really glad that I'm not dating.
Well,
like, can you imagine me, the way that I am and the way that I think, dating in this climate?
You wouldn't get a lot of dates because everybody would be like, don't mess with Oliver, because that shotgun mouth of his, he's going to make you feel really bad about yourself. Yeah.
It is a blessing that I'm happily married in this day and age with the foolishness that I'm seeing on social media, because that's and here in a very serious note, here's what we're doing to men.
Yeah.
What we're doing to men is sending them down this very convoluted, highly confused road of who we should be and who we should not be.
Yeah. Yeah. I put Gamal's
shout out to Gamal in the comments. Gamal said, I don't think the money is the issue. I think it's the search for security
wrapped up in materialism.
Okay.
I agree. I just think that it's really sad. That I agree that is what it probably is, and it's really sad that it's that. But it also makes me think, where are these people learning that from? And people like, I don't want to toot our own horn, but people, the Gamals and the Moes of the world, right? Like, why are we not looking to those types of couples as examples? Like, who is teaching these people that if bro has a Cash App card and is paying for their meal with it, don't ever go on another date with them? Like, where are they learning this from?
So this is a road I don't want to go down in this particular segment or on this show, but it's our fault.
How?
It's our generation's fault, because we got to a place where we could hold up a certain standard. But the next generation and the generation after that took it to a different level. They put their own spin on it. Because there were some things, if you think about it, there were some things, there were some boundaries we created. There were some preferences that,
I see what you're
that
saying.
we stood up
I see what you're saying.
in reference to bucking the system that was before us.
I see what you're saying, but that should be the case. We should have boundaries and standards.
We should, but I'm just saying they just took it to another level.
So
They took it to a different level. So now if we say something like, hey, the person we date needs to be XYZ, now for the generations following, they've added their own twist on that, which takes it even a step further.
Which is scary for, if the world ever lasts this long, the next generation after them.
Now, here's the thing, though. Things go in cycles.
Things do go
So we
in
may come back to
cycles.
this, we may come to our senses, so to speak.
Sensible things.
Gamal said people think that a man's ability to splurge on them equals a willingness to take care of them.
Of course it doesn't.
Interesting you would say that, because the media mix down
doesn't.
that I was going to go with today is in line with this. There's a video going around about this girl who was literally like shaming her boyfriend in the mall. And I don't know if this is a skit or not, but it kind of looked real. Shaming her because he took her to the mall and he had $500 to spend. He's going to spend $500. He called it a shopping spree. So people were kind of clowning him because they're like, $500 is not a shopping spree. She was just letting him have it. $500. What am I gonna do with $500? My phone bill is $500. I can't do nothing with that, right?
That had to be a skit.
That's where we at, though.
But that's where we're at.
That's where we at. So
disappointing.
And we're confusing folks. We're setting up standards for individuals that they cannot uphold, or that they choose to shy away from, which then makes them either extremely materialistic, which is not sustainable in a relationship, or extremely selfish. There's no in between.
So,
because either I'm not going to spend anything on you and I don't care nothing about you, and I'm not going to treat you like the woman you should be, or I'm going to overdo it because I feel like that's what you need. Neither one of those lead to a healthy relationship.
Right. So you're saying that it's our fault because they saw that we had standards and boundaries. And so they're like, oh, well, if they can do that, I should be able to do this. And these are my standards and boundaries. Then it should be on us to go back to them and be like, that's unrealistic. That's unreasonable.
Yeah, it should be. But I think we've created monsters, and we've fed those monsters with all of these ideologies that are floating around these days. And that's another topic for another show. But I think that there's so many ideologies now around what a relationship should look like, what a woman deserves, what a man should be, what a man should not be. You got the high value man versus the alpha woman. You got the beta man. You know what I'm saying? You got all these concepts that are being, are becoming ideologies around how a relationship should run. And we're missing the fundamentals now.
Yeah.
So you got people who are like, you can't pay for my date with a Cash App card.
That's ludicrous.
When there are some people who, number one, they use Cash App all the time. Now, here, I will say this. Here's the other side of the coin. Now, the Cash App card is not, and I'm not justifying this at all, but the Cash App card, I don't think is accepted everywhere. So that could end up being a problem. If you go somewhere and do something and they're like, no, we don't take Cash App cards.
Yeah.
Then you might be stuck.
Yeah.
But that's a bridge you cross when you get there.
Yeah.
And here's the next thing. If you are in a healthy, well, this is dating we talking about, so never mind. Forget what I was about to say. Here's the thing. I'm going to leave it at this because we got to get to the next segment. We have to really evaluate what our priorities are. We have to really evaluate what our values are. And there's a lot of things that we got to think through differently.
I agree with that. And like what I've been saying this whole time is I really think it's important for us, since we know better,
Mhm.
we have to start saying stuff,
Yeah.
to the people like that we can draw
Mhm.
back and pull them up,
Mhm. Yeah.
behind us. We can't just um see something and talk about it and say how ridiculous it is and how
Mhm.
terrible it is when we're not trying to um teach
Hmm.
the people that we can influence.
Yeah,
We
I'm
can't
with that.
just talk about it and say how terrible it is.
I'm with that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Gamal said we can't ignore the influence of social media and music and mass media in general. True. The values we are being shown are not sustainable or even realistic.
Mhm.
Replace these influences with wisdom, and you'd get a more balanced generation.
That's what
Agreed.
I'm talking about.
Also, once sex enters the picture, things get complicated. You may not think this is related, but it is. It
Oh,
is
it
related.
is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, it is.
100%. Listen, there's so
Yeah.
much I want to say, but I'm not going to say it because I'm just not. Now, shameless plug, be on the lookout for a new podcast that's about to start called the Overcoming the Man Laws podcast. And guess who ain't going to be there?
You're not gonna have me as a guest?
I have you as a guest, but you ain't a co-host like me and my guy Lou. We're about to have a podcast where we are going to
Oh,
chop it up and I'm going to say what I want to say.
I'm gonna be in the comments and I'm gonna
Let's be
text you
clear.
and be like, "You got to clean that up, babe."
So just be on the lookout for that. It is in the works. It's the same name as my book, Overcoming the Man Laws. The Overcoming the Man Laws podcast is coming to audio and video very, very soon. And we're gonna chop it up about a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, Gamal, I gotta get you on. We gotta schedule to get you on. So I'll be reaching out to you for that. All right, listen, that's the media mix down. For those of you who jumping in and out, the media mix down is simply a young lady who said that if a guy pulls out a Cash App card and pays for her date, that is the last time that he will see her.
I gotta ask our children
What they think
what
about
they
that?
think about that.
That would be a good.
I
That would be a
really
good
want to know
question.
what they think about that.
Listen, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think in the comments about the media mixdown. And if you have anything in social media that you would like to hear us give our 2 cents about, you can either DM us wherever you're watching it now, or you can send an email to the email that's on your screen. All right. That's the media mixdown. Let's get into this next segment, which is the question of the week. Very interesting question of the week this week. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm curious, babe, to hear what you have to say about that. So
Okay.
let's get into it.
Question of the week. When I tell my wife I don't want to do something, she takes it very hard to the point where she has accused me of rejecting her. Wow. How can I convince her that it's about preference and not rejection? How often are you like, how many things is it that you don't want to do? Number one.
Mhm.
And sometimes I feel like I know, like for me, there are some things that I would prefer not to do,
Mhm.
but because I don't want it to always be about me and what I prefer.
Mhm.
You have preferences, I have preferences, and I think sometimes it's okay and probably advisable to just go along and do some of those things that your spouse enjoys doing,
Mm.
even if you don't enjoy it, because that shows that you're not making it all about you. It shows that I'm interested in you, I'm invested in you,
Mhm.
I'm indulging you.
Okay.
And so I think that it shouldn't be all of the time, that just because it's something you don't prefer, not that they said all of the time, that you
I don't think it's plugged in. Sorry.
don't do it.
So
Yeah, sorry.
so I'm with you on that. Let me tell you the two things I thought about when I read the question.
Mm-hmm.
two things came to mind. One was what happened to her
What happened to
that
her?
causes her to go there,
Yeah, rejection.
right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought. The other thing I thought was the flip side is, how is he saying that he doesn't want to do it?
That's it too. That's it too. Yeah, both of those are good questions.
Right.
Like, why does his preferences make you feel rejected?
Right.
And how are you saying it? Are you like, "Oh babe, that's just something I'd rather not do," or are you like, "Absolutely not. Nah, get out of here with that. I ain't doing that."
Right.
That's saying
Because
no
that
two
makes a
different
difference.
ways, and
Right.
that's kind of unkind.
And we don't know that, right? And so
Right.
to answer this to answer this question, how can you convince her that it's about preference and not rejection? You might have to switch up the way you say it.
You might have to switch up the way you say it, but also still again, I got to go back to your preferences can't also always take precedence.
I agree.
It's
That's the
got to
other
be
side of the coin,
balanced.
right?
That's
That's the
other side.
other side of the coin is that there are some things that, for the sake of creating connection, for the sake of establishing some level of intimacy,
Yes.
experiential intimacy,
Yes.
or intellectual intimacy, that you say, hey, you know what? Part of that is my willingness to explore something that you
Yep.
that you like.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have chose it, but
Right.
let's see what's what. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's the other side of the coin. But I would say start by, if you're trying to convince her of anything, the way you convince her, the method that you use, the approach that you take is going to be the thing that you
say.
right. Is going to be the first thing that you need to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Because if if you shooting down her idea and you shooting it down in a way that leaves holes in her, then that's going to be a problem.
Because that can be depending on how you're saying it, it can be very dismissive.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel dismissed, I feel like I'm not important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, without context, those are the things that I would look at. For the wife, I would say, hey, listen, look at what it is that makes you go to the space of feeling rejected.
Yeah.
Because it could be something that you have to look at from a clinical perspective in terms of your childhood and that kind of thing. Or it could be something that you have to look at from a communication perspective. Just be like, hey, listen, when you use these words, like, you can be specific with each other.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, when you use these words, when you have this tone, when you turn your back while you're talking to me, whatever it is, this is how it makes me feel.
Right.
Now that gives your spouse, if they really love you and want to communicate with you the way that you desire or need to, then they will make some adjustments. Mm-hmm. So you may have to make some adjustments. She may have to divulge some things about what's going on with her. And you both may need to get some therapy, or you both may just need to simply have a conversation about how you like to be communicated to.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say about that. Those of you who are watching, if you have some comments about that, some suggestions, some ideas, if this is something you've gone through in the past and you have been able to navigate it successfully, put your thoughts in the comments, whether you're watching now or watching the replay. If you have questions that you want us to tackle, just like with the media mixdown, you can DM those questions to us wherever you are watching this right now, or you can send those questions to that email address that's on the screen.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, let's keep it moving. Are we moving quick today? I feel like we're moving quick today. What time is it?
Yeah, it's only 7:25.
We are moving quick today. All right, that's cool. Listen, I'm cool with that. I can slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's spend a little.
7:25.
All right, let's spend a little time here then. We're going to talk about in the marriage minute, this one thing that could change your marriage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In its entirety. All right. So let's get into that. So if you saw the graphic, and let me just show the graphic real quick for those who may not have seen.
Change your marriage.
This one thing could change your marriage. What is that one thing? So some people probably gonna get upset when they hear what this is because it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing provocative. It ain't nothing overtly profound. None of that. It's something I shared on TikTok specifically. Something I shared a couple days ago, and it is this. You, which is interesting that the question of the week is what it was. I'm just making this connection now. This is literally the same thing. The one thing that could change your marriage is how you talk to each other.
Yeah, see?
How you talk to each other.
How you talk
Let me
to
tell
each
you
other.
something. And I'm saying, let me tell you something. Those of you who are watching, you can attest to this because you sit here with me often when we are working with couples. And there is one thing that it sounded so easy for me to say that, but it's something that is so difficult for people to do. We sit in front of so many people who talk so reckless to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Often, not often, I don't know what the cadence is, but sometimes that could be because that's all they know. That's what they saw.
Mhm.
My parents talk to each other that way. So ain't that's how it's done? Or, that's just their way of um reacting. Like they're holding something in, or there's
Mhm.
a hurt inside.
Mhm.
And how it's expressed is in anger and the way I talk to you. I can't literally fight you physically. So I'm gonna fight you with my words
Mhm.
type thing.
Yeah,
Sadly.
it is so common in many of the couples that we have
Yeah.
the privilege of serving
Yeah.
that they do not take the time to evaluate how they are talking to each other.
They don't take the time, like literally stop and think.
Like, how is what
How
I'm
am I?
about to say going to affect
Yes.
person and affect this
The
scenario?
relationship.
Like,
Yeah.
listen, I am not I- anybody who knows us knows we're passionate about relationships. So I'm not saying that the other stuff is not important. That would be ludicrous for me to say that. I'm not saying that building intimacy and all of these different concepts, bid for connection, and all of these different things that we learn about as it relates to relationship building is not important. But if you don't know how to talk to the person that you are married to,
Yeah.
it don't matter what other things you know.
Right. Right.
It just doesn't. And if we look at it from a spiritual, biblical perspective, there's so many places in scripture where it talks about the tongue. Matter of fact, you and I are reading through James right now,
James.
and we're in, what is it, chapter 3, where they're
3.
talking about the tongue,
Yeah.
right? And how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Right. Ephesians talks about how you should talk to people. Don't let unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. Proverbs, it talks about a soft answer turns away
Way
wrath. There's
wrath.
so many
Yeah.
places where it outlines how you should be talking to each other. But for some reason, we feel like we got to be reckless in order to get people's attention, or whatever the case may be.
I think sometimes too, couples or the person that's doing the reckless talking thinks, this is my spouse. They ain't going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They'll come around if I hurt them or upset them. I don't mean to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
so I don't mean to do it, and so they'll forgive me. And so that just keeps being the cycle in their mind. They'll come around. We married now.
Mm-hmm.
So, this
Yep.
is what it's going to be.
Gamal
Type
put
thing.
something else up from Proverbs.
A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold. Yes, I like that one.
Yeah.
In settings of silver.
Of silver. Yeah. So, I know, I don't know if people were expecting to hear something John Gottman-ish, but
It's true though.
we got to get past this so that we could get to John Gottman.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Um,
Because if, like you said, all of the other stuff, all of the other tools and all of the other John Gottman lessons and tips and all of that stuff, it's great and it's needed and it's necessary, like you
Mhm.
said. But if I can't talk to you about it
Mhm.
because I can't talk well enough for us to get beyond how I'm talking,
Mhm.
then we're never going to
We
get to
can't
the
get
lessons. We're
right.
never going to get to the tools because you are going to come at me for how I'm talking to you.
Mhm.
You don't even hear what the subject matter. You don't hear that.
Yep.
And so that's the problem.
Here's a tip that I have for everyone, and it is simply this. Go to your spouse, and obviously you're not going to do this during a heated moment, during a disagreement. Just y'all watching your favorite TV show, or you eating dinner together, or y'all taking a walk, whatever. Just turn to your spouse and be like, "Babe, is there like how do you like to be communicated to?
Mhm.
Are there things that I say or don't say, or that make you feel some kind of way? Is there anything that comes out reckless that you've just never said anything about? Like, talk to me about that."
Yeah.
And y'all just have a conversation about that. Don't get on the defensive. Don't be like, "Well, you take it the wrong." No, no, no. Just listen
Mm.
and then ask them, "Okay, let's talk about how I can change that. How
Yeah.
can I adjust that?" And it may be that, "Hey, you know what, babe? That's not even how I'm trying to come across.
Right. Yeah.
So I appreciate that you told me that, but I need you to know that wasn't my intent.
Hmm.
Now let's talk about the adjustments.
Right.
And what do you need?" Like, we've had this conversation. She will
Sure
tell
did.
you,
Sure did.
Listen, when you say these words, same thing we just said in the question of the week.
Yeah.
When you say these certain words, you take me back to this time, or when
Yeah.
you have this certain tone, you take. I'm like, all right, cool. I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
That's an easy fix. And for
Yeah.
some reason, the other side of this is that when we do, when we are confronted, or we are put in a position where these things are identified, we somehow try to defend.
Mm.
Like, why? And
Yeah.
listen, I'm guilty of it. So I'm not acting like I'm above nobody. And I'm just shaking my head because I am guilty of it. I just don't understand why, as human beings, we choose to defend our reckless behavior as opposed to say, "Okay, babe, I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna try to adjust that for you."
Because it's nobody wants to be pointed out for that. That's embarrassing. That's why it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Nobody wants, to be called out on that because nobody wants um to be looked at that way.
True. True.
So that's why it's embarrassing.
And then I think too, uh, actually, that, man, it's tied so much into the question of the day.
Thank you, Holy
Um,
Spirit.
the the other side too is how we're confronted.
Yeah.
Because if I confront you in a way that causes you to feel like you need to get on the defensive, then you will.
Well, yeah.
So
So
if I'm
then,
like, "Well, you always say such and such and such, and every time you do that," and I'm just rah, 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 that's very different than saying, "Hey, babe, you know, when you say XYZ, the reason why you get the reaction you get is because of this.
Mhm.
And you may learn something about me.
Yeah.
It may also open the door for us to have some collective healing
Yeah.
and for you to cover me in that space."
Mhm. Yeah, because is confrontation ever good? No. Is it? No. So
No.
we got to come at our spouses not in a confrontational manner, but in
Mhm.
a, what's the word? I want to say admonition, but that's not the word.
There's something in there's a term that folks use in the clinical space. I think it's soft startups,
Okay. Yeah.
where instead of the rah 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 rah, right,
Mhm.
you come in with a soft startup,
Mm.
with an explanation,
I feel
with an
like.
"I feel,"
Mhm.
with, "Hey, let me run something by you,"
Mhm.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes that's not how we are approached.
No.
And often we're not approached until the frustration level has gotten to the point where the only option is for us to burst.
Yeah. That's
So there's
good.
no soft startup at that point,
Mm.
as opposed to when you feel something, saying, or even the next day, "Hey, babe, you know what? I was thinking about something, man. We was talking last night and you said such and such and such. You know what? Man, I was kind of feeling da 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 da."
Yeah, but that's difficult for some people. Probably wouldn't be difficult for me,
Mhm.
but it might be a little bit more challenging for you because my communication style is I need to time to think and
Mhm,
process
mhm,
anyway, whereas you typically don't. You've
mhm,
learned, that not to come right out the gate
mhm,
shotgun style, but for someone that has your type of communication style that needs to talk about stuff
mhm,
like right away
mhm.
or as soon as possible, it might be a little bit more difficult for them to wait until the next day and be like, you remember what happened yesterday? You remember when we were talking about XYZ?
Mhm.
It might be difficult.
Which brings up a great point, which is this: you got to practice.
Yeah.
It's something that couples, we aren't taught that part of this journey is going to require us to go through a learning phase,
Mm-hmm.
go through an adjustment phase,
Mm-hmm.
go through a trial and error phase,
Yeah.
right? That happens in everything else that we do in life, right? You learn, you mess up, you make the correction, you go at it again.
Mm-hmm.
You might get a little further this time, but not all the way there. So then you come back. Where did we go wrong? All right, let's do it again. But for some reason in marriage, we feel like we're going to say I do, and what you get is what you get. And that ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, if it was what you get is what you get, we wouldn't be doing this show right now because we wouldn't have been married.
Yeah. This is true.
We wouldn't have been. And I'm not saying that just as a shotgun. Like she can attest to that.
Mm.
If it was a you get what you get and there ain't no learning curve and there ain't no, oh man, we dropped the ball, let's figure out how we can pick it up, we would not be married right now.
Yeah.
Period. So, one thing that could really change how things are going in your
Mhm.
marriage is really evaluating how y'all are talking to each other
Yeah.
and really having a heart to heart conversation about what your needs are in that area and what adjustments can be made in that area.
Now, this is like I said, it's difficult to even once you go to your spouse and be like, "Do I talk to you? Do you feel like, I'm not talking to you right or
Hmm.
any kind of way?" It's difficult to even ask that question.
Hmm.
It's difficult to have that conversation. It can be difficult to express what your needs are. You might not even realize what your needs are,
True.
honestly.
That's true.
It's just difficult. The whole thing is difficult. So if you need help, we can help you, is what I was trying to
There you go.
say.
Right. And it can be difficult,
And
right?
it can be. It can be difficult. It's tough, you know. That's what.
It can be difficult. And ironically, since you brought that up, right? Right after this show today, we are jumping into the week 2 mastermind of our 6-week group
Group
coaching
coaching.
experience, right? And we were going to talk about it at the end, but we're doing a 6-week group coaching experience called Make Love Better. And you'll hear more about that. This is a closed session for a particular group of couples, but we're going to do an open session soon. But ironically, in today's mastermind, we're actually going to be going through communication styles,
Mhm.
and we're going to outline a 3-component process that will allow for more consistent, productive conversations.
Yeah.
Because it is difficult,
And
and we
as
don't always know how to do it.
we don't, because like I said in the very, very beginning, we might not have ever seen that modeled
Right,
before.
right,
And
right.
so it can start with you though.
So listen, since you plugged us, and I'm going to plug us in the end, but if you want to, or couples who may want to go through that process, wherever you're watching us now, just be on the lookout. We will send out soon the date for the next cohort. We're in week 2 of this 6-week cohort now. Somewhere around the week 4 or 5 mark, we will shoot out the date and do some promo for the next one. If you want to jump into that, we're having a good time. This last week was really good.
Mhm.
We're looking forward to tonight with the couples as well. But that's literally where we are in the communication space.
Yeah.
And so if there's issues there, then and you need help, just
Mhm.
like we need help with other areas of our life, you look for the help that you need, right? Shout out to Athena in the comments. What's up, Athena?
Athena, what's up?
Shout out to Athena. This is really
Thank you for
good.
being here. Words don't have to be spoken reckless to cause hurt.
They don't have to be.
They really don't have
That
to be.
They really don't have to be. And some of
That
that,
is true.
if we're being 100% honest, some of it is just our willingness to humble ourselves.
Or unwillingness, you're saying?
Unwillingness, yeah,
To
to
humble.
humble
Yeah.
ourselves and make the adjustment.
Correct.
Sometimes it's not that we don't know how to do it. There are some
Mm.
couples who they don't know how to do it. They've never seen it modeled. They need to see it modeled. They need some time to practice it.
Yeah.
For some of us, it's like the woman who told us, "Hey, this is how I am,"
For
and he just
40
gonna have to,
years.
he gonna have to take it.
I ain't changing now. If he thinks I'm gonna change now, I'm not. It's been 40 years. This is who I am.
And
Literally, they said that to us.
and you're gonna get who you are.
You're gonna get, yeah. Mm.
And if you're cool with that, fine.
But that's true, though. Words don't have to be spoken reckless to cause hurt.
No, they don't. You do not have to be reckless to get your point across.
Don't.
You do not have to be reckless to get somebody's attention.
Mhm.
You do not have to be reckless to defend yourself. Not even to defend yourself. You don't have to be reckless. Because if you had to be reckless, then the Bible wouldn't say a soft answer turns away wrath.
Right. But I think what Athena is saying is that sometimes you say things and you don't say them recklessly,
Mhm.
but they're still hurt. It's still hurtful.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. And then now that's really about now digging in and understanding how your spouse receives what is being said.
Mhm.
And are there adjustments that you both need to make? Is there an understanding that the receiver needs
Mhm.
that will help them receive better?
Mhm.
Is there an understanding that the giver has that
Mhm.
allows them to make an adjustment?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it. That's the marriage minute. The
Mhm.
one thing that could change your marriage is evaluating how you talk to each other.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of things that could change your marriage, but that's a really great place to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really great place to
Mhm.
start. So, listen, that's our marriage minute for today. We're going to get out of here. Not before we have the last word, but we're going to get out of here in just a moment. Before we get out of here, since we mentioned the group coaching, again, if you know couples who want to go through this process, it's called Make Love Better. It's not just about sex. We're talking about extraordinary communication. We're talking about recognizing, managing, and recovering from conflict in record time.
Mhm.
And we're talking about building a holistic, intimate bond. Right now, we are in week 2 of the current cohort that we're doing for a closed group of couples. But around week 4 or 5, we will shoot out a date for the next cohort. So be on the lookout for that so that we can go through this process. Before the last word, also, I want to say if you guys are up at 10 p.m. on Saturday night, we have a really good time
We
with some
do.
interesting conversations on Have a Conversation After Dark. So if
Mhm.
you are wherever you're watching this, you can come right back at Saturday night at 10 p.m. For Have a Conversation After Dark. All right,
Mhm.
listen, let's get on out of here. But it's time for
The last word.
the last word.
I do you have one?
Man, it was all kind of stuff buzzing. What was that?
Did you
The
hear
computer
that?
was beeping and all that. What was that about? All right. So last word. Last word is something that I say all the time. And shameless plug, it comes out of my book, Overcoming the Man Loss. Which, you know what? First, but let me just say this real quick. This week in 2020, this week
Yes.
in 2020 is when the book actually came out. This week is the
Yeah.
4-year anniversary of, I'm just looking at the date. This week is the 4-year anniversary of Overcoming the Man Loss.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
again.
much. Ironically, the last word comes out of this book. You can get this book on Amazon. If you look up Overcoming the Man Loss, you can get the book on Amazon. So there's something I say in the book, and it is this: you should not demand what you have not first developed.
Mhm.
Let me say that again. You should not demand what you have not first developed.
Yeah.
Very simple. Um, and I use myself as an example. There are so many things that I expected from her that I was not, had not, and wasn't even on the radar, to be quite honest, as it relates to developing them things, those in myself, those same things in myself. Um, I want her to be a person of integrity. I'm not being a person of integrity. I want her to be trustworthy. I'm not trustworthy. I want her to be faithful. I'm not faithful. I want her to be, and the list goes on and on and on and on, right? That's a very difficult way to live. And it is a recipe for disaster in your relationship. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be fully developed and perfect in every area, because that's what a team is for.
Right.
If you're fully developed and perfect in every area, you don't need a teammate. Right? If you can play all the positions on a basketball team, then go ahead. Try your hand, see what you get. But I played point in high school. So that means I need a shooting guard, and I need a center, and I need a power forward, and I need a small forward to complete this thing.
Yeah.
However, if I expect them to be great at their positions, I need to put in the same work at mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
That's good.
That's the last word.
That's good. That's good, babe.
That's the last word. So you should not demand what you have not first developed.
Right.
So if you do some evaluation and you need some work, you need to do some work, it's time to get to work. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Listen, that was our episode for this week. If this is your first time, we never introduced ourselves in the beginning. I'm Oliver, and this
I'm
is
Denise.
And we are Denali. We are relationship coaches, marriage coaches. We are speakers and authors. And we're passionate about seeing relationships thrive. So everything that we do is to that end with God's help. And so be on the lookout for more things that are coming from us that we will be doing in various parts of the globe. I'm saying the globe, even though it's United States, because I'm speaking that into existence, that it will be the globe. So just be in prayer for us. Those of you who believe in prayer, support us. You can support us by sharing this. You can support us by going to the YouTube channel and subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can support us if you want to support us in a monetary fashion. You can support us by buying books. You can support us when you see us doing seminars and group coaching and things of the like. All right. Listen, thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best part of this experience. And I think that's all I got to say today.
That's it, babe.
You good?
Yes.
All right. Listen, we're going to see you. Blessings on you and your families. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Have a fantastic weekend. Those of you who join us on Saturday night for Have a Conversation After Dark, we'll see you then. If not, we'll see you next week.
Have a good week. Good night, everyone.